So Tesla is dominating lots of things these days, not least of which is the headlines. My Apple news feed now has separate listings for Tesla, for electric cars, and for Elon Musk. I can hardly wait until they add energy storage, robotaxis, and of course, Optimus. But at the end of this report, I will talk to you a little bit about my theories of where Tesla stock is headed in the short, meaning like next week, and the medium, meaning like in the next 18 months. We'll talk about that near the end. All right, this is Randy Kirk. If you like this kind of content, please hit like, then subscribe and notify. Right now, Notify will get you notified about a series of videos that I'm doing that are giving my projections detail by detail. So in other words, a projection on the car sales, a projection on energy sales, go down the list, and then a general overall projection on overall revenues, overall profits, overall stock price, etc. All right. So, and then of course you can always go over to my Patreon, and on my Patreon right now, all of my charts, they're all on Google Docs, on Google Sheets, and all those spreadsheets are available. And as I'm creating them and finishing them, each one of those is going up on Patreon. So that'd be a good reason to join Patreon. And there is a 7-day free trial right now you can take advantage of. All right. So news item number one, China production and shipments in the last 2 months averaged were 78,000 average per month and 53,000 average sales of vehicles in China. So 78,000 production, 53 average sales, and of course that would mean 25,000 average of the shipments to other ports. For export, of course, that's the export hub for Tesla. So those are really, really good, strong numbers, and cause me to wonder how anybody can think Tesla is going to do less than 490,000 shipments in the second quarter. But again, that's something that I just put a Twitter poll up. You might want to take a look at that Twitter poll asking what you think the numbers will be in the second quarter overall for Tesla shipments. Okay, I want to make a correction on something I had in the news the other day. There is a new facility that has been leased in Fremont. That is a facility that apparently is going to be making 4680 cells, batteries. It's a 210,000 square foot facility. I said accidentally that it was 2,100 square feet. Anyway, 210,000 square feet. And that's a very big building. And it seems like either they're going to make a lot of cells there, a lot of batteries there, or they're going to be doing something else as well. Maybe they'll be putting them in packs. Anyway, something's going on there besides just making 2680s, but maybe they're going to make a lot there. Be interesting to hear from Elon, from Tesla. What's the plan for that facility? We know what the plan is for Reno. We know what the plan is for Austin. We'd love to know what's going to be going on there in Fremont. Next item is that Elon says, in answer to a tweet, that yes, a $4 trillion market cap is possible. Let that sink in. He adds to that, lots of work needed to be done between now and then. A $4 trillion cap is possible, says Elon Musk. That would be pretty amazing. And of course, we think it's going to be even higher than that, but it's fun to hear it from Elon. Kathy Wood was on a program the other day, and she reconfirms her 2,000 price target for 2026 and her expectation that ICE is over in 2027. I put out a video this morning, you might want to take a look at it, where I spread the top 22 car makers that do BEVs, the top 22 BEV car makers. I even include Honda and Toyota in that, even though they're not making any yet. But these are the top 22 that I think will be the top 22 in a few years. Let's say by 2029, 2030, these will be the top 22. They're in order in terms of what they did in 2023. You can see all of the sales numbers for these 22 in 2023 on the chart. And anyway, Kathy says that she believes, as I do, that the ICE age is over in 2027, and that chart will show you how we get there in terms of production. I think that the ICE manufacturers are going to be in real trouble starting late 2025, going into 2026. And they will start winding down the manufacture of many, many, many of the ICE vehicle lines. So look for that from this morning if you'd like to see the details of that. And again, it's up on Patreon as well. Okay. So anyway, but her $2,000 price target for 2026 does not include, are you ready? This does not include services, energy, Optimus, or Dojo as a service. So the 2,000 price target that she has for 2026 doesn't include those 4 categories. Energy is a done deal. Kathy, I'm calling on you. I love you. Please go and add energy to your numbers. People are projecting, I think it was Dan Ives the other day projected $10,000 in revenues in just in services next year. Kathy, come on, we need to have you projecting out services and energy, and then, throw something in for at least Optimus. Anyway, all right. Next item on the news deal here, other charging companies are agreeing to adopt NACS as a standard for the charging plug, if you will. So there's 3 other companies that make these products and put up these products for people to charge their cars other than Tesla in the United States. And all 3 of these this last week have agreed now to use the NACS standard. My expectation is that every other car company selling in the United States will agree to the standard within the next week or 2. Maybe it'll take longer than that, but what are they going to do? General Motors and Ford have already agreed to it. How is Volkswagen and Hyundai, Kia, and all the rest? How are they going to say no? So I would certainly see that taking place. And then what we had was toward the end of the week, multiple talking heads agreeing that the fact that Ford and General Motors have capitulated, they didn't all use that word, have capitulated to the NACS standard is just absolute evidence of how Tesla is dominating in the technology, and that this is going to continue to be the case as more and more people go, okay, it's now a fact. It's not even something that just the Tesla bulls and the super bulls believe, but in fact, they have a huge lead in technology, a huge lead in strategy. Let's remember that as much as these superchargers are great in terms of their technology, they're better than any of the others that are out there in terms of uptime, in terms of the speed that they fill, in terms of their locations, in terms of the quantity that you have per location, in terms of the way that you can look on your computer and see where a charging station is, and even if there's a line or if there's lots of them available, and whether they have superchargers or only the slower chargers. I mean, the technology is way ahead, but then it's the strategy of having started to put these superchargers in place years and years and years ago, because Elon knew that this was going to be the biggest issue that people were going to have on EV adoption. And now everybody else is going, oh, the biggest issue that everybody has on EV adoption is range anxiety. We need more superchargers. Anyway, it's unbelievable. So there are people who think that in addition to the supercharger thing last week, that Mary hinted that she might be taking a hard look at Tesla's FSD system. Wouldn't that be something to talk about? Okay, I'm not sure that's true, but some people think she did. Next is Musk says that FSD progress is accelerating. That was his tweet. Another version was released this week, so that's like, I think it's been less than 2 weeks since the last version. That's 0.4 is now out. I watched a couple of the videos. The drivers seem to be reasonably impressed with progress. They commented on the smoothness of operation. People are talking about that it's more human-like all the time. But I've heard some comments that there are still issues with roundabouts. Elon specifically tweeted after that comment that the roundabouts will get great soon. There's a concentration right now apparently on roundabouts. I also think that there's issues with regard to off-ramps. People are mentioning off-ramps. That has been the case for us and our car. We have not been comfortable using it for short trips because there seems to be issues with getting the off-ramps right. So it's not great to miss an off-ramp and have to go to the next one and double back, etc. Well, so, I'm of course an Uber bull, and that doesn't bother me that much. But the Washington Post is not an Uber bull. Let's keep in mind when I'm telling you this headline that the Washington Post is owned by who? Oh yeah, Jeff Bezos. Oh yeah. And And oh, Twitter is a direct competitor to the Washington Post. So keep that in mind on this headline. So the headline specifically stated, oops, I'm lost it here. What did I do with it? Oh, yes, here we go. 17 fatalities, 736 crashes, the shocking toll of Tesla's autopilot. And then the subheadline, Tesla's driver assistance system, known as autopilot, has been involved in far more crashes than previously reported. Well, okay, go ahead and read it for yourself. Various people are all reporting this headline never gets proven in the story. In fact, it opens up by saying that 4 of those fatalities were motorcyclists. So, and then it goes on to talk about another situation where somebody was hurt, where the owner of the Tesla had put weights on the steering wheel in order to thwart the system. So, I mean, go ahead, read it for yourself, but this kind of nonsense is just crazy, especially coming from a competitor. It's so obvious what's going on there. So anyway, this kind of headline has been strangely absent for a week. I've been hunting for negative headlines on Tesla. I have found some that are not positive, but the negative headlines like this have dried up, except apparently for Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post. Anyway, we'll see what happens in the next week. Next is James Stevenson. What a great job James does on some of these things. This is kind of fun, and Elon Musk loved it as much as I did. He says that these are updates on Tesla stock. The intraday on Friday was up 5%. The 5-day was up 14%. The 1 month is up 44%. 3 month up 42%. The 6 month is up 41%. The year of 1 year is up 6%. The 2 year is up 23%. The 5 year is up 1,052%. The 10 year is up 3,688%. And since the IPO, 15,472%. Go James Stevenson. Anyway, speaking of the stock, I promised you that I would talk about my short-term, medium-term, and medium, little longer-term projections with regard to the stock. Been a lot of conversation about that this week, obviously, with the stock going crazy the last 11 days in a row in the green. That's a record. So what people are wanting to know is, oh, should I sell now at this point? Well, you know, some people have been selling. We saw a sell-off on Friday from the highs. It did not end on the high of the day by a long shot. I think about 3.5–4% down before the close. So what's going to happen next week? Are people going to, there will be more profit taking. I mean, some people are going to be looking at that going, wow, I need to take some of this off the table. I've even seen tweets of people saying, I need to take some stuff off the table. I've seen other tweets from Teslaonaires saying, buy when everybody's afraid, buy when everybody's joyous. Just keep buying. So I am not an investment advisor. I've been watching the market since I was in my teens, and you can imagine that was a long time ago. And I'm not a technical analyst, but I believe that there are lots of active technical analysts out there. And so that plays a part based on self-fulfilling prophecy. If you got a lot of people that say, oh, if Tesla hits 257, that's going to cause a bounce. Well, then, let's say 20% of the people are technical analysts out there. Well, then it's going to cause some kind of reaction at that number. Anyway, with all of that said, I believe that the stock is still headed to 300. I know if you follow me, earlier this year, I said that the market would need to turn to a positive attitude. It would have to have a risk on attitude before we could start making the move to 300. Well, that kind of all changed with all of the amazing news over the last 3 weeks. The GM and Ford capitulation, multiple other pieces that we're not going to go down the news list right now. If you follow me, if you don't follow me, go back and look at the news stories over the last 3 weeks and see what's going on. Look at my analysis from last Saturday morning, I believe it was, where I looked at the whole story of what was going on and then predicted what was going to happen last week. So I didn't predict the whole week. I predicted Monday and Tuesday. Anyway, what we're looking at now is something that I didn't expect to happen this soon, but Tesla now has a new narrative. The narrative is now spread to the point where even the news is positive, not negative. The headlines are positive, not negative. that overall sentiment is now driving the stock upward. And what's happened technically is there's now no more barriers until 300. There's nothing. The chart is free. We've passed all the, 50-day trading averages. We've passed the 200-day, all of those things, everything's out of the way. And the next stop is 300. It's going to be hard to get over 300. That's going to be a really dead stop because, first of all, round numbers are a problem, but also you can look at the charts and you'll see that 300, 297, 302, somewhere in that area is going to be a difficult place. So, but what happens when it breaks through 300? All right. So here's my new theory. This coming week, it's going to be all about the PPI and the CPI. CPI, the Consumer Products Index on Tuesday, PPI on, which is the Producer Price Index on Wednesday morning. And then after that, you have the Fed coming out with their decision with regard to raising interest rates. I think the CPI is going to be a beat. I think the PPI is going to be right on at 0.2. Maybe it will be a beat also. And I think the Fed will pause. And I think they will project that the pause will continue into July based on numbers between now and then. But I think it'll be dovish. That is going to cause a rally in the overall market, and that is going to lift all boats, including Tesla. That's what I think is going to happen next week. Will we get to 300 next week? It is entirely possible. I don't necessarily think it'll happen, but I do think that it's possible. Will there be a sell-off? Yes. At some point, there's going to be a major sell-off. In fact, maybe whether it's next week or the following week, or maybe it takes until the beginning of July when we get the numbers for July, for the second quarter, maybe on July 2nd, roughly, when we get the numbers. Maybe those numbers are really solid, up around 460, 470, and then we won't have a sell-off. Well, we might, but we might go above 300. If they're my number, if they're 490, or James Stevenson's number 505, then I think we continue on towards 400 almost immediately. If they're back less than 490, but let's say 460, yeah, at some point we've got to have a consolidation. At some point, people are going to take profits. So what would that look like? Well, they talk about the 50% return, There's all kinds of theories. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. But what I will say is we're going to 400 for almost certainly by the end of the first quarter. So in other words, after the fourth quarter earnings report on the 20-something of January, then that report will be so strong that we will continue on to 400 before the year is out next year, assuming this is going to assume execution. Okay, all this assumes execution. We'll be at 700 by year end of next year. We need execution and we need the macro to be in bull. Okay, and I think the bull market is a given. So what is the execution that I feel we need? We need 3.2 million cars in 2024. We still need to hit 2 million to 2.2 million in 2023, but then 3.2 million, I think, is a slam dunk in 2024. We need 15,000 mega chargers. That's really important. But I think that's a slam dunk because we'll get 10,000 out of Lathrop. We'll get, I'm guessing, 5,000 or more out of Shanghai. We need a successful launch of the Cybertruck. What's a successful launch? That means that they launch it, pretty much when they say they're going to do in September, October, somewhere around there. And then there's some positive reporting from the third-party press, some positive reporting from third parties. We'll obviously probably get some really positive reporting from Tesla owners who go and buy a Cybertruck and get their Cybertruck delivered. But I want to see something from third parties saying that they really love it. Okay, we need the auto margins to be around 0.2, around 23%. 22 is probably fine, 21.5 even, but around 23. To get to the 700, I think we're going to need to be around 23. We're going to need 10,000 semi-trucks sold next year, 2024. I think it's going to be, Elon Musk says 40,000, so it could be way more than 10,000. If it is, 700 might even be a question. So, but 10,000 semi-trucks will be enough. We need the reveal of the Gen 3 vehicle and the beginning of orders being taken. And of course, that Gen 3 vehicle needs to look cool. People need to respond to it well, but we need that reveal in order to get to 700. And then we need the visibility of a Mexico start date. And what I mean by start date is start of manufacturing. I'm really looking right now. I'm kind of waiting. Hey, Elon. Hey, everybody. Tom, when are we going to turn the first shovel of dirt? When's this thing going to get started? Anyway, maybe they're trying to get all their ducks in a row so that they can really do it fast when they take that first shovel. Anyway, those are the things. You can write them down. I'll produce something later on this probably. But those are the things that will drive us towards 700 next year, get to 700 by the end of the year. Now, if Robotaxi or Optimus is revealed and they start taking orders on Optimus, all bets are off. Who knows where we're going to go? If Robotaxi becomes a thing in 2024, the sky's the moon. The moon, what did I just say? The sky's the limit. Anyway, so there you go. I'm producing, as I mentioned, I'm producing this series of videos. I'm showing all the details, like, by cars, by factory, by factory, not by car. I'm showing it by profit. I'm showing it by energy. I'm showing it with the IRA money, how much that's going to be every quarter from now until the end of time. You want to see these spreadsheets, they're on my Patreon, and you can get on there for free right now. There's a 7-day free trial, or you can just watch the videos. There's a couple of them already out. I guess one is out this morning, one tomorrow morning, and pretty much every day there'll be one for the next several days. There's about 5 or 6 of them. And then, there you go. So for one, I'll tell you one thing that's absolutely certain. Listen to this wisdom. You're not going to believe how wise this is. This is an early chapter in the Tesla saga. If the execution above that I was just talking about takes an extra 6 months, it just means it'll be 2025 before the stock hits 700. Is that okay? We're sitting at 250 right now, 245. Is it okay if it takes until 2025 to hit 700? If Robotaxi and Optimus turn out to be 2025 or even 2026, well, that means that every Tesla stockholder who holds on will be multiple times more wealthy in 25 or 26. They'll be multiple times more wealthy if we hit the numbers that I said above, just the ones that we think are obviously going to happen. But man, if the Optimus comes out or the Robotaxi comes out, who knows? 2,000, Kathy, I think you're low. I think you have to add another 2,000. We're probably looking at 4,000 in 2026. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below. I answer your comments. I read them. So if you've enjoyed this, if this is useful, please hit like, please hit, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm not sure why not, but then you can hit notify so that you can be notified of all these upcoming videos. I've got a couple of great interviews next week too. You're not going to want to miss. And then of course, join Patreon. And again, it's free for 7 days. Take a shot. See if you like it. It's only $5 a month anyway. And you get a chance to see all my spreadsheets that I'm putting up on a daily basis right now. There's going to be 5 or 6 of them. Okay, that's it. It's been great talking to you.